Canada just ripped Donald Trump to shreds at the end of the ASEAN conference. You had Prime Minister Carney saying, I could care less about Donald Trump's ranting and ravings like a lunatic, whatever he wants to do. When he wants to act like a mature adult, Canada will be here. And they were like, are you mad that Premier Ford from Ontario put those ads across the United States? And Carney's like, look, we're big boys. We're adults here, okay? We're adults. Like, let's relax. When America wants to behave like grown-ups, then we'll deal with it. And then Premier Ford went on CNN. He was on with Jake Tapper. And by the way, Tapper asks Premier Ford like the worst questions. But Ford was like, why would I be upset? We played Ronald Reagan's words. If that's triggering to your man-baby president, then okay, like, what do you want us to do here? We're literally playing Reagan's words. Reagan didn't like tariffs. Like, what are you talking about? So let me just show you what went down. So at the end of the ASEAN conference in Malaysia, you had Prime Minister Carney taking this press conference, and I just want to show you what went down here. Watch as Prime Minister Carney was asked about, have you spoken with Donald Trump since all of this? And Carney's like, no, nope. Here, play this clip.
Have you had any contact with President Trump since Thursday?
I have not.
Given that President Trump said today on Air Force One, I don't know if you heard this, but in the last hour, he said he doesn't plan to meet with you for a long time. Is it worth continuing to pursue a discussion, a meeting, a phone call with him at this point?
I didn't see the comment. Look, we stand ready to sit down with the United States, myself with the president, my colleagues with their colleagues, when the U.S. is ready to sit down. We had made considerable progress on a supplement to the trading relationship that we had, considerable progress in the areas of steel, aluminum, and energy, associated areas as well. And as I just said, we're ready to sit down when they are ready to do that. If they're not ready to do that, as those comments indicate, then we were always going to do these things, to be clear. We're going to first and foremost build our economy, build it with generational investments, and you will see that not just the scale of the ambition, but the speed with which we put that into effect in the budget on November 4th, and continue to do what we've been doing over the course of the last few days and over the course of recent months, which is to build those other partnerships and deepen those other partnerships on which we're getting very much traction. Thank you.
And Prime Minister Carney talked about the ad. Here, play this clip.
President Trump says he's canceled these trade talks because he's upset about the Ontario government ad. We've heard from the Business Council of Canada and even some of President Trump's own advisors who suggest the frustration with Canada runs deeper. So is this about the ads or is this about something else?
Well, look, as I say, and there were a series of very detailed, very specific, very comprehensive discussions, negotiations on the areas I just listed to in response to the previous question, up until the point of those ads running. First point. Second point, I would suggest you take the president at his word for his reason. And that is the reason why, from the perspective of the federal government, which I'm responsible, we stand ready to pick up on those discussions when the United States wishes to pick up on those discussions. So those in the room, those exchanging term sheets, those having the discussions about specific areas where we can make mutual progress to the benefit of workers and businesses and communities in our respective countries, had been making progress. Those ads came, the president had the reactions which you have seen, made the decisions that he has made, which, those are his decisions to take, and we're in the situation we're in.
This is a good question, someone said to Carney. So, if the United States is willing to throw another 10% tariff because they get their feelings hurt because of an ad from Ontario, do you think they're actually serious to have conversations at all? And Carney's the bottom line is there are a number of areas where there should be trade conversations. And if they don't want to have them, they don't want to have them. Canada's going to focus on what we can control. Here, play this clip right here.
Prime Minister, given everything that we've seen, do you really think the United States is interested in making a trade deal with Canada?
Look, we are their second largest trading partner. We provide a series of essential goods for their economy. We are one of many providers, but we provide in some areas essential goods for their economy. And we create more room for them to do other things. I'll give you an example. If you look at Canadian exports of aluminum to the United States, and aluminum is bauxite and energy. I mean, there's a little more to it, but you can simplify it to that. The embedded energy in the Canadian aluminum exports, which provides 60% of the aluminum to the U.S. market, is the equivalent of the energy of 10 Hoover dams in the United States. Now, is the best use of that scale of energy, creating that scale of energy to make aluminum in the United States, as opposed to continue to foster and power the AI revolution, which the U.S. is leading, or power homes and others? I mean, these are decisions for the United States to make. Point being, as a supplier to the United States, and I gave aluminum as one, I could give many examples, we are an important supplier in many areas. As well, we are a large customer. For over 30 states, Canada is the largest export customer for those states in the United States. So there is a very strong, deep trading relationship, and there is an alignment of interests in many areas. And that's the reason why we have elements of the arrangements that we have today with a large degree of low tariff trade and the benefits from that. We're ready to have those discussions to further improve them, and we'll have them when it's appropriate. But we're not resting because we can build. The return on building at home is far greater than the hit from trade turbulence with the United States. And the opportunities internationally are considerable. And candidly, Canada has not focused on the relationships to the same extent as we should have in any trading environment with the United States, let alone a situation where they're changing their trade policy. And that's what we're doing now.
There's another moment where he was asked questions about Trump. Let's play it.
Donald Trump says he doesn't want to see you at all at APEC. Well, has the Canadian government given any consideration to the possibility that he doesn't want to negotiate? And do you have a contingency plan for that?
We have yes. The short answer is yes. To your follow-up, no, I'm not about to detail those contingency plans. But I will go to the big, obvious plan that is there in plain sight and will be further detailed in the budget on November 4th. And we have been saying this for months. I said this before I was elected. Emphasize the importance of us giving ourselves far more than any foreign government could take away, whatever the trading environment. And that's to build at home and to build strong at home. And we intend to unleash hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars of investment right here at home. Well, not right here, but metaphorically there at home in Canada while we're building these partnerships.
Less than a month ago, you were at the White House. You seemed very cordial, friendly with President Trump. The two of you were joking. You said you were going to walk away with a good deal. He said that we would be very happy. Is the U.S. toying with Canada? And how did your relationship with Donald Trump go south so fast?
It's a question for him.
And then Prime Minister Carney, showing how adults behave. So Carney's like, were you mad at Premier Ford for running that ad? And Carney's like, look, when you deal with complex negotiations, things happen all of the times. And we have to be just level-headed, responsible. And, negotiations have twists and turns. I can only control what I can control. This just shows you the level of maturity one would think exists in leaders. And I think Carney exemplifies that as contrasted to man-baby Donald Trump. Play this clip.
If it is true that a TV ad that you were close to a deal, exchanging term sheets, and a TV ad caused all of this to be canceled, halted. Trump does not want to meet. Are you upset at Premier Doug Ford for running this ad? If this is true that this ad spoiled something that was very close?
Look, I'd say the following, which is that in any complicated, high-stakes negotiation, you can get unexpected twists and turns, and you have to keep your cool during those situations. It doesn't pay to be upset. Emotions don't carry you very far. And we had made progress, to repeat. And we stand by the progress that had been made. The government of Canada does. And we are ready, when appropriate, to pick that up. And I'll just re-emphasize that it is the responsibility of the government of Canada to have these negotiations. And others will have opinions, and others welcome free advice, unsolicited advice is entirely appropriate. Every Canadian is a stakeholder in these negotiations. Every Canadian is a stakeholder in the fact that we're making progress in ASEAN, that we have the agreement with Indonesia, that we have just decided to accelerate trade talks with Philippines, with ASEAN as a whole. Every Canadian has a stakeholder, is a stakeholder in the evolution of our relationship with China and the discussions that we will be having at APEC with giants there. So that's the focus.
Hey everybody, Ben Meiselas here from the MeidasTouch Network. I wanted to let you know about my podcast partner, Michael Popak's new law firm. It's called the Popak Firm. Michael Popak's pursuing his dream of starting his own law firm, really based on the popular demand by all the Meidas Mighty and legal AFers who are approaching Michael Popak with their cases and saying, can you help us? And at that time, Popak was not able to. So he went out on his own. He started the Popak Firm, where he is now handling catastrophic injury cases like car accident cases, trucking cases, malpractice cases, big negligence cases, wrongful death cases. So if you or someone you know have a case like this, the consultation with Popak's firm is free. Give him a call. See if you have a case. It's thepopakfirm.com, thepopakfirm.com, or you can call 877-POPOK-AF, P-O-P-O-K-A-F. So 1-877-POPOK-AF. Give Michael Popak a call. And I'm really proud of you, Popak. Thanks for all the hard work you're putting in. And then Prime Minister Carney's like, yeah, I'm going to meet with Xi Jinping coming up. Absolutely. And we have a lot to discuss because Canada now is looking to China as a more reliable trading partner than the United States. Let me just say that again. Canada views China as a more reliable trading partner than the United States. And why wouldn't they, based on the behavior? Duh. Here, play this clip.
Just to cast things ahead to where you're going later this week in Korea, can you give us an update on, do you expect to meet the Chinese president at APEC? And what kind of conversations do you expect to have with the Chinese delegation there?
I do expect to, there are plans for me and President Xi to meet. We will pick up on the discussions I had with Premier Lee in New York a few weeks ago, a broad range of issues, both in terms of the commercial relationship, as well as the evolution of the global system. So I look forward to the meeting with the president.
Now I want to show you what Premier Ford had to say on CNN. He goes, Ford goes, mission accomplished. Here, play this clip.
CNN's news gathering partner, CBC, reports that your anti-Trump rhetoric, your criticism of Trump, came up repeatedly during trade negotiations. Was that intentional at all, being the bad cop?
Well, I've never said anything personal about President Trump. In our ad, it was very ironic that President Trump saw it and he said, yeah, that was a good ad. If I was Canada, I'd run the same ad. And then all of a sudden he wakes up in the morning, someone whispers something in his ear, and now he's not happy. But it was an ad to inform the people in the U.S., and mission accomplished.
Now, Premier Ford over here said, look, I think we got the message out. 11.4 billion impressions. Here, play this clip.
You said this morning that this was, quote, the most successful ad in the history of North America. Is the additional 10% tariff on Canadians also part of that success?
Well, first of all, Jake, thanks for having me on. I start off every interviewing saying that Canadians love Americans. I love America. I love Americans. I lived there for 20 years. And that my intention was to bring this to the American people and tell them that tariffs, protectionism does not work. Ronald Reagan was a free trader, the greatest president, in my opinion, ever. And we wanted to get the message out. And did the message get out? 100%. It had 11.4 billion with a B impressions. We talk in the media, but views around the world. And again, we just want to make sure that we work side by side with our closest friends and allies. A tariff on Canada is a tax on Americans. President Trump ran on creating more jobs. We've seen 5 consecutive months. Manufacturing jobs are down. We've seen inflation go up. That's not what President Trump ran on. And we want to be the solution. And the way we get back on track is sign a deal with your largest #1 customer in the world, and that's Canada.
Now, I just want you to watch how Jake Tapper even asks this question. Tapper's such a loser. So Tapper's like, let me show you what Tapper's. I won't give it away. Here, play this clip.
Canada's unemployment rate, as I'm sure I don't need to tell you, is now at its highest point in 9 years. Do you have any regrets about stirring the pot, possibly making things harder on your fellow Canadians due to this retaliation from President Trump?
No, I don't believe so. The person that started this whole thing around the world, not just with Canada, is President Trump. And the American people are finally feeling the effects of tariffs. And it's going to continue. The more tariffs, it's more of a tax on Americans and less jobs for America. If anyone reads into many speeches Ronald Reagan did, after the free trade agreement with Canada, with former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney, which is no longer with us. He was one of my mentors, and he created more jobs, not only in Canada, but also in the U.S. than we've ever seen. Again, protectionism does not work. We want to create more jobs in the U.S., more jobs in Canada. I believe in the AMCAN fortress, which is the American-Canadian fortress. And let's be the wealthiest, richest, safest 2 countries in the entire world. We have so much to offer the Americans that we give them, no matter if it's our oil or our uranium or our potash that keeps your agriculture sector, or nickel, high-grade nickel from Ontario. And the auto sector, they're losing billions of dollars every year now because of these tariffs.
And then Premier Ford says, I have a job to protect the largest economy in Canada. That's what I intend to do. Play this clip.
After you spoke with your Prime Minister, Mark Carney, you paused the campaign, effective today, so that trade talks could resume. Did Carney demand that you do that?
No, he doesn't demand anything off me. I have a job to protect the largest economy in Canada, the engine of Canada. 16.5 million people, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm protecting the steel jobs, the auto jobs, the life science jobs, the manufacturing jobs. That's my duty as the Premier of Ontario.
And finally, I want to share with you this portion of Prime Minister Carney's press conference to close out ASEAN, because I want to show you the level of detail and specificity that he discusses. We got the big budget that's rolling out in less than 10 days. This budget is all about moving away from the United States and making important trade relationships with the rest of the world. Here, play this clip.
On November 4th, our government will table the first federal budget, our first federal budget. And that'll be our plan to protect our communities, our borders, our way of life. our plan to build a stronger economy where everyone has a chance to get ahead, and our plan to empower Canadians with new opportunities, better careers, and a lower cost of living. Central to those missions is our intention to double our non-U.S. exports over the course of the next decade. That alone will generate $300 billion in more trade, new orders for Canadian resources, Canadian industries, and Canadian expertise. I chose my summit for my first visit as Prime Minister to Asia because the Canada-ASEAN relationship is full of potential. This is a region of nearly 700 million consumers with a market worth over $5 trillion. It's already Canada's second largest trading partner with over $260 billion in two-way merchandise trade alone. Yet, even at those levels, it still only represents about 10% of our exports. To build those exports, to double our non-U.S. exports, our government is working to strike a series of new trade deals, including here in the Indo-Pacific. In the past few months, we've signed new agreements with the United Arab Emirates in artificial intelligence, with the European Union in defense and broader trade, with Germany in critical minerals, with Mexico in agri-food. We signed a free trade deal with Ecuador that reduces or eliminates tariffs on the majority of Canadian exports. And last month, in Ottawa, we concluded a historic free trade agreement with Indonesia, Canada's first bilateral free trade agreement with an ASEAN nation. This week in Kuala Lumpur, we agreed to accelerate progress on a new Canada-ASEAN free trade agreement, targeting completion of that agreement next year. Yesterday, I met with the Prime Ministers of Laos and Vietnam, as well as the President of the Philippines, to move those talks forward. Now, that deal would add about $1.5 billion to our economy, giving Canadian workers and businesses greater access to this fast-growing market. In fact, probably, arguably, the fastest-growing market in the world. And would create jobs for Canadian workers in sectors ranging from critical minerals to clean tech, agri-food, aerospace, and advanced manufacturing, all while lowering prices for Canadian consumers on goods like electronics and clothing. In addition, President Marcos of the Philippines and I agreed yesterday to launch talks on a new free trade agreement between our two nations, again with the goal of concluding that agreement next year. This week, we also made significant progress on energy. Today, Canada and Malaysia signed a letter of intent to deepen investment in liquefied natural gas, and oil, nuclear power, and renewables. I met with the CEO and the senior management of Petronas, one of the world's largest energy companies and already a major investor in LNG in Canada, LNG Canada Phase 1, LNG facility in Kitimat, British Columbia. Now, Phase 2 of this project will double production, making the project as a whole the second largest LNG facility in the world, creating tens of thousands of new high-paying Canadian careers. That project, Phase 2, has been referred to our new Major Projects Office because we want it built, and we want it built faster to the benefit of Canadians, including Indigenous partners in the project. Together with Petronas, we are exploring other new opportunities to expand our partnership and strengthen Canada's role as a reliable energy supplier.
Well, there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million, and we appreciate you for watching. Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.